Yeah, it's time for Cup of Tech Gumbo. Yes, we're welcoming in Haggai Davis as we do every week. What's happening, dude?
I'm just so glad to be here.
So normally we'll run into each other at the Rotary Club on Wednesday
Yeah.
and kind of get a little touch base of what we're going to talk about on Friday. But this week we didn't get to do that because we went separate ways. Because every once in a while Rotary will have an offsite function where different members will host a collection of the members. You went to the LSU Vet School?
I did. It was a really cool tour of the vet school.
So the vet school does unbelievably amazing things.
They really do.
They're really awesome. The dean of the vet school is named Oliver Garden, and that's a whole other topic.
Yes.
But
Who's from England, by the way.
right. So the vet school, when you're there, your family, y'all got to. What did y'all get to do?
Well, so they showed us a little bit about it, but then
Alondra just did that one. She just
they brought out a couple of raptors. They brought out a red-tailed hawk and a barred owl, and it was really cool.
an owl who tells poetry.
Yes.
Okay.
In sonnets.
The Oliver Garden joke was funnier. My apologies. Go ahead.
It'd BARRED, not
Yes.
the BARD.
Yeah. Oh, an owl who's not allowed there anymore.
Exactly.
Okay. It's getting worse. Keep going.
Oh, just keep digging, Brian. The whole. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. Where did you go for the offsite?
Did you get to see a horse treadmill?
No, we didn't get to do that.
Okay. So every year the vet school hosts an open house, and the kids love going on the tour. But the equine treadmill is phenomenal because they'll put the horse in there with a little trot, and then they'll speed it up, and then they'll speed it up, and then the horse will look over and say, "What the hell, man?" And then they'll slow it back down again. But it's really remarkable stuff. Also, the aquatherapy for dogs, another thing they do over there that's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, they have a little treadmill that's underwater, and the dogs will be like half in the water, half out. The breathing part's the part that's out, and their legs will be a little underwater. It's really cool stuff. I went over to LaCourse, over there on Perkins.
Yep.
Probably
Right near College Drive.
yeah. It's just east of College Drive, and first of all, I went over there because LaCourse has remained local for what, 4 or 5 decades now,
At least.
yeah. And I've met David before, but I like getting to know how local businesses that survive as long as they do. Because how many people, when it's time to buy carpet or something, they're just like, we'll go to Home Depot or Lowe's and call it a day. Different game.
Oh yeah.
What they do over there. I mean, would you rather save a little money on the front end, go to a box store, get a shabby installation and a less than quality product, or go to somebody and LaCourse is not paying me. Okay, like
Right.
it's not
And
not a paid
David
endorsement.
is such a great guy.
I'd love for it to be a paid endorsement, but it's not a paid endorsement. And yes, they're really good people. Here's the thing, though. David grilled steaks for all of us,
I'm so envious.
right?
We had baked chicken.
And you got to question that at the vet school. Didn't make it, huh? Can't win them all, Oliver. So, he grilled steaks and he's got game. Dude's got some game on the grill.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Hey, David, I'm coming over there next time.
Yeah. I mean, they're firing up them Weber's behind LaCourse. I'm like, y'all, you're gonna make the carpet smell good. So anyway, that was Wednesday, but we get a chance to touch base beforehand. But you talked about on Tech Gumbo this week a lot of topics that we've covered here on this show. But I want to start with the stolen iPhones from Mardi Gras,
Right.
for one, the non-compete battle for another. But I want to start with, where is it? Malware shows passwords saved in browsers.
Yes. So if you're like a whole lot of folks that allow your Google Chrome or your Microsoft Edge to save your passwords so that you don't have to put that in every time you go to a new website that requires you to put in a password.
Right.
There is malware floating around that if it gets on your computer, it will grab all of those passwords and share it with the person who wrote that code. So if you're going to have your browser store your passwords, make them encrypted, which means you got to put in a generalized password. You got to put in the password a password every time your browser remembers all your unique passwords across all of the websites that you go to.
So you need a password to get to the password?
Yes. And if you
The
don't,
password is cumbersome.
it is. I like that
Thank
voice
you.
inflection.
Well,
where
it's for the
it
old
was
game show. You remember
whispering. There was whispering because the person on the set couldn't hear.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
So, but you got to put in you got to remember a password
if you
to
remember
get to all your saved passwords.
if you have unique passwords for all the websites you go to, but you have one password that you can remember, so like it's the same thing with having a
But it's only
password
for that
manager.
browser.
If you have a password manager like a LastPass or OnePass, any one of
Right.
those, if you have a LastPass, go do something else because LastPass got hacked really bad.
Mhm.
It's a good idea that you don't just have all your banking information, all the credit card information, all the websites that you go to have all those passwords. You've got 150 passwords stored in your Google Chrome, and this malware gets on your computer and it shares all of those passwords.
Right.
You're screwed.
So every time Google Chrome asks me if I want to save my password, it feels like that's a bad idea from the start. So I've got the right gut reaction there. But what's the difference between if the malware is in there and you're entering your password individually, like just it? Okay, how does the malware get to where it
Because
gets to your stored passwords?
it's looking at the browser. It's looking in. It knows to specifically go into the Google Chrome settings where the passwords are saved, as opposed to what you're typing. It's not a keylogger.
Okay,
It's
so
not reading what you're
I
typing as
got
you're
you.
going to a website.
I got you.
It's looking into the code of the browser.
All right, that's where I was missing it
Yes.
because I was like, yes, it's obviously a bad idea to put your passwords and like save them here, save them here, save them here because it's only on that browser. Like if you go somewhere else and you're not logged in, you have to remember all your passwords again.
But if you have a computer, like I have a Microsoft Surface that does facial recognition,
Mhm.
and so you can have it use your facial recognition to authorize, or some type of multi-factor authentication to authorize. So if you don't want to have it, you type in your 20-character password, you want to just use the authenticator app. So you put in a 6-digit code that you pull up on your phone.
Yeah.
Those are types of things that will protect you so that your password list is encrypted while it's inside your browser.
We got to take a quick break. Cup of Tech Gumbo is going to continue after we check traffic and check your money now. He's Haggai Davis. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about non-competes next at 646.
Yeah, so this was the question of the week, this the non-compete thing.
Yeah.
And it was actually one of Haggai's friends up there in New York City who sent it
Well,
in.
the reason I want to talk about it in a very specific light because, and John Schroeder kind of crapped the bed when he talked about non-competes. He talked about how, and I don't remember if it's accurate or if he misspoke. He said if you look around the Southeast, the states that are doing the best are all right to work states. We're an at will work state, which favors the business. I don't know why right to work state favors unions. I don't know why you would say on stage at the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, if you want to win, be like the union states. Oh, he may have misspoke, but the true conservative wants to be in an at will work state, not to be in a right to work state where, as a business owner, you're forced into litigation. I think I'm hoping to God he misspoke. I know. Well, John's been sick all week too. And in all honesty, I applaud him for even coming out and trying. But you put yourself on stage in front of 1,100 people, and like, you need to be 100%. Like right now, the cloud fog I have, at least we could take breaks every couple minutes, and I can reset and shift topics.
Are you
12 minutes.
are you going to the chamber thing today? The big kickoff at the Centraplex?
No, I'm not. I'm working LSU tonight. Which one do you want? Honestly, I would prefer women's basketball. It starts an hour earlier. But if you want that, you got it.
Women's basketball versus the baseball?
Yeah.
I'll be at the St. Jude Men's Club Fish Fry.
Okay. Because it's got to be thrown on somebody. He needs to get in there quickly so that we can all start having some time off. You're doing both games Saturday? Okay, it takes 5 minutes to train somebody on that. I never had training. My first thing that I did at LSU was a football game.
So I'm going sailing tomorrow. So
Oh
excited.
wow.
Guy's got a J30 and he wants to go do some sailing on the punch train. I got invited to go crew on it.
On Lake Pontchartrain? Launching out of Mandeville? Or South Shore?
South Shore. World is not ready for Chat GPT. You saw
Libby Dunn.
Libby. Yeah.
We'll talk about that too if we have time.
I mean, it's one thing to go. I mean, okay, if you're gonna do it, don't put it on TikTok when you got 1 billion followers.
You put it wherever the people telling you to put it or paying you to put it tell you to put it.
I know, but I mean, don't do that video.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So, in all honesty, there needs to be better oversight for what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. Because while they're student athletes, they took a lot of care to protect the athlete end. You won't do casinos or any of the sin industries like drinking and smoking and weed or whatever, or gambling. Oh, I say casinos. But on the other end, they're students as well. So
don't promote a tool that's going to help you cheat.
right.
I mean, that just wasn't a good look at all. You got to be a little smarter than that. I mean, how many millions of dollars is she making?
3.4 at last count.
Per month, per year? And she's 20?
19 or 20. She's in her second year.
I mean, I know it was 100 years ago, but I was making $3.15 an hour.
Yeah.
Because that was minimum wage back then.
.652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Cup of Tech Gumbo rolling right along. Haggai Davis in the house. Haggai, we're gonna move over topics because we got at least two more things to cover. Give me 60 seconds on the iPhones stole at Mardi Gras. Those that have not been reclaimed yet. Where are we at here? How easy would it be to hack them to return them?
Oh, wiping them is not a problem. These people that were arrested were part of a crime syndicate that, they were caught with, just under 200 phones.
In Tickfaw.
Yes.
First of all, shout out to them for spreading the tourism dollars around the state a little more. Everybody goes to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, but if you're posting up in Tickfaw, you're going to get a better rate.
And an Airbnb, sure, why not? It's
And
easier
by the
to
way,
stash all the phones.
shout out to whoever from Tickfall is on Airbnb.
No kidding.
There's something you don't look up every day.
So if you're one of these people who walks around with your smartphone hanging out of your back pocket, begging to have your phone stolen,
Hallelujah. Yes. Preach.
I mean, that is the just don't do that. Give yourself some security, because nowadays our entire lives are in these smartphones. And we let off the show with a woman whose entire life was hacked because she was at a bar in Manhattan and some guy watched her put in her code to open up her phone.
Mm-hmm.
He snags her phone, puts in the 6-digit code, changes the password, logs into her Apple account, changes her Apple password, deletes her bank accounts, maxes her credit cards, and Apple won't even talk to this woman because she's trying to authenticate, but she can't because the guy had changed her passwords.
Right.
So her entire life is just screwed because she's got nothing to prove she is who she is.
Right.
And all because her phone was hanging half out of her back pocket after some guy watched her put in her code. So if you're going to have a cell phone, put it in your front pocket. If you're a woman, put it in your purse. Don't leave it hanging out so that anybody could walk by and go, excuse me, bump, and take your phone.
Yep.
Because that's what these folks in Mardi Gras were doing, where they had some 1,500 phones were reported as stolen over the Mardi Gras break. And this group of folks in Tickfall, they were only caught with about 180 phones. I'm sure they had already shipped most of them
Probably
back to Miami to have them
Probably,
wiped,
but-
and they were sent down to some third world country to be resold.
So instead of having them wiped, can they be rebooted, like opened up to find out those who haven't redeemed them yet? Like that's
Usually not without some kind of way to get in. You don't have somebody's thumbprint or facial recognition to open your phone or the 6-digit code to get onto your phone. It's highly unlikely that they can get in, but they can just wipe it. They don't want those. Most times,
I'm not worried about the criminals. I'm worried about law enforcement trying to return the things.
Oh, they can find out who the phone. Yeah. Oh, almost 80% of those phones have been claimed already, because the serial number on the phone is associated with a phone number, so they can pull up that and say, "Oh, you're with AT&T. That's Haggai Davis's phone."
So earlier in the week, one of the news stories was talking about a different number you had to have when you called to redeem your phone, and a lot of people didn't have that. So I'm glad to hear them making progress. Question of the week this week for the show, for the full serving attack gumbo. Can you please speak to your thoughts on making non-compete clauses illegal in the workplace?
So we certainly are not attorneys, and that's Franz's world, not ours. But we talked about it in from the technology point of view, and how the FTC is just put out a big report about how non-competes are stifling workers. There's 18% of the population is covered by non-competes, and if there was no non-competes and there's also a bipartisan group of senators that are putting forth legislation to make non-competes illegal across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the conservatives want to keep the non-competes. Being a conservative, I'm not in favor of non-competes. I think competition should allow you to go and do if you got a better mousetrap.
Within the big picture, yes, absolutely. But my question from the tech world is, a non-compete, just look at that word, non-compete.
Mm-hmm.
Who are your competitors? In this world, in the radio world, my competitors are other radio stations within earshot here.
Mm-hmm.
I have a market that I wouldn't be able to compete in. If I were to get a job tomorrow in Kansas City, not a competitor.
True.
But in the tech world, it's the world wide web. How do you determine market for a non-compete in your world?
It's really more about what are you doing with the secret sauce? What are you going to try and do with the software you're creating?
Okay. All right.
If you're creating an app and you're just ripping off somebody, the guy you were working for, and you weren't happy working for him, so you leave and you go build your own app that does exactly what his app did because you're using his secret sauce, that's not really a good idea. Right. But if you're going to take the things you learned while you were working for that guy, and you go build an app of your own with your ideas, then go and do that.
So it's not about market as much as it's about product or service.
Yes, and don't stifle the competition. Don't stifle creativity, and let so if somebody can leave and build a better mousetrap than yours, good on them. You got to get better yourself.
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. But from a business owner's perspective, there's
I get the business owner
same.
doesn't want to have competition.
Well, it's not so much about that as much as it is about if I'm the business owner who has invested in my employee with education, continuing education, the skill set that employee has developed over the years to create their better mousetrap was created and developed under my roof.
So that business owner, where did that business owner get the skills and training from?
Oh, I mean, how do you trace that though?
Well, for the same reason.
Is it traceable?
It's for the same reason that the non-compete is rather nefarious, if you will, because I just think I don't think it's a good idea to say, oh, you work for me, so therefore you can't go and do what you're really, really good at.
Oh, totally, absolutely, yes. We have to pick it up at another time. Full serving of Tech Gumbo coming your way Saturday and Sunday at 4 right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Right now, we're going to get you to news. Haggai, always appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
We got ABC News coming your way. Then Hour 2 is coming up next on Talk 107.3.
We didn't even talk about Volkswagen, and so
Yeah, I didn't want to. There's kill the mics.
go. CarNet, Volkswagen CarNet.
Yeah.
They can remote in and take care of, unlock your car, kind of like OnStar kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's a third party that manages it for VW. And this woman, she pulls into her driveway. She has two kids, two young toddlers kind of thing. She brings one kid in, comes back to get the second one. As she's trying to get to the second kid, somebody pulls up behind her, knocks her down, really injures her, and then steals the car with the infant in.
Yes.
The sheriff's department calls and says, hey, can you tell us where the car is? Can you shut it down? They stole. No, I'm sorry. You got to. The CarNet subscription has expired. It'll cost $150 for us to give you that information. And the sheriff is losing his mind. Finally, they give him a credit card. They'd already found the car, though. But it was more about not VW, because VW came out and said, look, we have many, many opportunities where we've helped law enforcement. This was a rogue third-party contractor employee who did not follow our protocols. And so we were talking more about the technology protocols when you follow them just without looking at the bigger picture. Sometimes you get hung up.
Right.
And that's what happened here, and how this person. But there's another story about Ford has a patent now on the ability for them to remote into cars in the future, especially the self-driving cars. And let's say you've missed the past 4 payments on your car. Ford could just remote in and have the car drive itself back to the dealership or to the impound lot. Or if you're driving around, they could turn off the air conditioning in the middle of summer to make,
like that.
Or they can just power down the car, or they can make things not work, make it uncomfortable for you so you pay to get these services back. And,
okay.
And it was just, it was a really interesting how the use of technology, instead of just having a repo man go out there and melt down in the back of his trunk, he can sit there at his laptop, key in a few strokes, and the car just drives it back to the impound lot in the middle of the night when the guy who owns the car is sound asleep. never knows it.
Or while he's behind the wheel and can't do anything about it.
Yeah, the car just drives him, and he and the car show up at the impound lot together. It's like, okay, since you're here, pull out your checkbook or give me a credit card, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah.